Hello, I am Wacky Pete. Today I would like to discuss...
Oh, boom! Alright, let's finally start to get this over with. Church Christ, god damn it! Thanks a lot, you stupid asshole! Now New Zealanders have to defend their gun rights because you couldn't figure out how to make your political points with silly videos like I do. I guess I'll rewrite my entire video. I guess that's okay. Because if I had released my video in its original form, you wouldn't be watching this video right now. The Thought Police wouldn't have looked at the date and they would have just been like, ah, shit. Thought Police? Algorithm? Never heard of him. Who is Al and why is he shitting on my videos? Hey, make sure to sub and share since I'm at a whopping 24 subs and I'm already being algorithmed by Al, so that sucks. So I'm splitting the original script into 3 separate parts, and I'm not mentioning the part that can be flagged until the 3rd video. It'll be the why, the how, and the who. So if anything, at least these 2 don't get taken down. I mean, you can kind of tell where I'm going with this, right? World War III? Ah, jeez. Why would anyone want a massive war that causes major damage to society as a whole? Depopulation. Depopulation? Why? Well, it's because not enough people are dying anymore. And that's sad to say. The human race has had constant death and war basically forever. Up until about a few hundred years ago. A few hundred? Well, what about the world wars? You only think that the wars of the last few hundred years have had a lot of deaths because that's when we began recording things accurately. Ancient times don't have records of events like we do. Do you think that if a group of bandits killed a family in the middle of the woods, that was recorded? Do you think that if a mountain family lost 3 or 4 kids due to a disease, that they would make sure to go tell all the townspeople? No, they didn't. The world was filled with death the likes of which we couldn't imagine since we got out of the trees. But now, it's different. Why do you think the population has spiraled out of control in the last 100 or so years? It's the lack of the death of humans. Now, I don't want anyone to die. I don't like people being hurt at all. I don't like when anything is hurt. But I understand the issue. The issue is that a few factors have suddenly created a situation in which many times less people are dying per year. Therefore, our population spirals upwards rapidly. Some people, globalists, seek to fix that. And how do they try to fix that? Well, with a lot of death, either by a large-scale war or a pandemic. If nothing happens, then we overpopulate and starve, which would take a much longer time and have a much larger scale. In reality, out of these 3 options, war is the most humane. I mean, there is the 4th option of working together because we realize that we're all part of God within the infinite reality. But human beings are dumb, so our reasonable options are war, pandemic, or starve to death from overpopulation. War is the first choice because the deaths can be directly controlled. The people dying can be specified, and the blame afterwards is on the corpses of the enemy. A pandemic is probably the second choice, as it would be difficult to control who is killed by the pandemic. There's less control over who dies and what amount, and possibly kills many of the people that they don't want to purge. A pandemic is sort of a backup, because like with most animals, if they overpopulate to a certain threshold, then they will exhaust their food supply and die off in massive numbers anyway, so there's that if you do nothing. So the choices are to kill a large block of people, which allows control over who is killed and to what amount. A pandemic, which has less control. Also, the difference between a war and pandemic is that who gets the blame. If it's a war, then the blame is on the enemy side, which you're making into an enemy and killing anyway. If it's a pandemic, then the blame would be on the government or systems for not doing enough to stop it. So war is the advantageous choice. If you do neither, then we overpopulate and die anyway, except with that one, there's almost no control over who dies or to what amount, and the amount of people who die would be far greater. So does it sound mean to kill off 1 billion or so people? Well, you could let 2 billion die off from a mutated Ebola virus instead. Or you could let 3 billion die off of starvation over the course of an apocalyptic couple decades. So yes, it's mean, but it's not out of malice and hatred as much as it's out of pragmatism. So sadly, in fact, it is necessary to cull the human population to avoid a much larger disaster. So that's the why. That's the why. Yeah, you like that one? Next time, it's the who. No. Next time, it's the how. Stay tuned. Hey, if you get a minute, subscribe or comment. I normally wouldn't ask to subscribe or comment or anything, or to support, because it kind of defeats the purpose of just being here to help and inform. But it appears as if I'm being suppressed at a whopping 24 subs. Some days I get home from work and my videos have less views than when I left. How do you unview a video? I mean, it's not a huge deal. It just sucks that, I wake up at 7 and I check my channel. I see 12 videos on something. And then I come home and it's 10. It's like, man. I only had 12 views, you assholes. Leave us alone! I'm only trying to help. Whether you see it or not. Probably picked a bad time to make a conspiracy theory channel. Well, if it wasn't a challenge, it wouldn't be any fun. You heard that, Satan? I'm coming for you, you son of a bitch! Alright, peace out, man!